Ramps on the Moon. Inside Stories by Ramps on the Moon. Ramps on the Moon aims to enrich the stories we tell and the way we tell them by normalising the presence of disabled and deaf people across mainstream theatre. Inside Stories is a series of unedited snippets from conversations between people who have been involved in some way with Ramps on the Moon. The following audio is a snippet from one of these conversations. Garry, Robson and Max Runham.
And I was doing this R&D in Ipswich last week about integrating disability, well, the idea of disability into primary school kids, and a lot of the sort of talks that we had was about sort of like that lack of understanding that Joe Public has a little bit about how capable disabled people are, and that there's this whole kind of like sort of subconscious thought of, oh, sure, they can't do that. They can't, bless them. Life must be so hard. They must not be able to do this. Yeah. When I've spoken to people sometimes in the street who have met me for the first time and they're fascinated by it and they're asking loads of questions, it's like, how do you ride a bike? Yeah. It's like, let's ride with one hand. It's really easy. And suddenly, when you're putting on a piece of theatre that really throws something like that in people's faces, and you do go and they go, oh my God, they're deaf and they can dance. Of course, well, of course they can, but I've never thought that before. My initial thought was like, they can't. So, oh wow, oh God, they can. Oh, thank God for that piece of theatre. Yeah, no. And suddenly you've done your job without throwing it in people's faces, without making it a progressive scene in the show where you go, this scene is to show that deaf people can dance and to change people's minds about that. You just make a great piece of theatre and show them doing that, and suddenly people's minds have changed.
A great musical with great choreography. Again, you know, feedback from deaf audiences and deaf friends is, a musical. We love musicals. Yeah. Why does nobody ever do musicals? Yeah. You know, or don't seem to consider deaf people when it comes to musicals. You know, we kind of love musicals. You know. I've got to mention Amy Trigg, because Trigger's got in touch with me yesterday for something.
Really?
Which is really nice. Which was about like accommodation thing, but by the by. But oh man, you know, I mean, what a dancer she turned out to be. I mean, she's a great actor, but what a dancer. Yeah. And do you remember, like, because she had to go in on the morning before we opened at Stratford to work it out because of the rake in Stratford. And and she did it. Like, she did 2 hours there, and it was amazing. And then she went on to get all these dancing gigs, you know.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, she's danced at Sadler's Wells and all sorts. She's got all these kind of big dancing gigs.
Cool.
You know? In fact, there was a point when she was dancing more, I think, than she was acting.
God,
she probably put me wrong on that. But I thought, that was terrific. And watching some of the other people getting agents, you know, because like William, I don't think had an agent.
Oh, did he not?
No. So getting an agent, and there was 2 or 3 other members of the cast who got agents.
Brilliant.
You know? Yeah.
Oh God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, that's right enough, you know. Because people were seeing them and you know, seeing the actors in the show and being blown away by
That's it, isn't it? Suddenly people who are overlooked as people who can't do anything are put into an environment in theatre where they're being absolutely utilised and their strengths are being celebrated. Yeah. And suddenly you have an avenue into the industry. I mean, I had a year and a half nearly of not having anything out of drama school. I did 1 telly job just before I left, and then I had nothing. And then I got 1 sort of job that wasn't great, but then while I was doing that, auditioned for Threepenny Opera, and then off the back of Threepenny Opera I didn't stop working because suddenly I was put into an environment where this impairment that I had wasn't a problem anymore. And I think having a platform to show that to the world is invaluable, because suddenly you're presented to the world as an asset rather than as a problem. Totally. Which is beautiful. So I don't know where I'd be now if it wasn't for Threepenny Opera, and I'm sure a lot of people who did Tommy have exactly that same feeling. That suddenly they were given a voice.
Produced by Hannah Quigley and Tammy Doncic for the New Wolsey Theatre and Ramps on the Moon. Directed and edited by Tammy Doncic. Supported using public funding by Arts Council England.